Here's the big question this show answers. How do we leverage technology and human science to positively impact our personal and professional life? The Tech Human Experience has the answer. Here's your host, Inc. 5000 tech founder, neuroscience junkie, and Navy SEAL wannabe, Javier Guerra.
Hello, my fellow tech humans. Today's guest is a tech trailblazer serving as a senior vice president at Hewlett Packard Enterprise, HPE. She was just awarded the Black Tech Executive of the Year Award by the Black Professionals in Tech Network, BPTN, this year in 2023. Please welcome Krista Satterthwaite.
Hi, Javier. It's great to be here with you today.
Yes, always great talking with you, Krista. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. I know you're a busy woman. Just curious. So, tell me a little bit more about the award that you just won. That's amazing.
Well, I was nominated by somebody at my company. I still don't know who it was, but I was nominated, and there were several finalists. I had to submit several things to complete the nomination, and I was selected. And the funny part was I didn't hear back, so I didn't think that I won. And I got an alert on LinkedIn, and they played a short video, and they said, I was like, oh, I wonder who won. And they're like, the winner is, and my face pops up. And I was like, it was an email that went to my junk folder, so I had no idea that I'd won. But I got to pick up the award in Toronto at a really nice award ceremony. So it was great, a really great experience, and the organization's fantastic. It's based in Canada, but it's North America in terms of the coverage.
Nice, Toronto. I've never been to Canada. That's definitely on my bucket list.
I hadn't either until then.
Really?
It's lovely. I really liked it.
What time of year did you go?
I just went 2 months ago.
Nice.
So
Okay.
it was nice weather, and I had a great time.
Yeah, beat the heat a little bit up there, right? So
Exactly.
let me share a stat before we get started, or just some kind of research topic here. According to the World Economic Forum, it's estimated that digital transformation could create $100 trillion in value for businesses and society over the next decade. As somebody like yourself, deeply involved in this field, where do you see the greatest opportunity for value creation?
Yes, for me, I would say healthcare. And I say that for three reasons. One, obviously, the impact of being able to diagnose faster or make sure that people don't suffer as long. And then secondly, we have really hardworking professionals in healthcare. Both of my parents were both nurses, and they met in a hospital. And on many, many Christmases, most Christmases, we got up at 5 a.m. to open gifts because somebody was going to go to work that day. And so making their lives easier, I think, would be outstanding because they're overworked. And then third, I don't know how many people listening have had a challenge, a healthcare challenge with themselves or a loved one. And what happens is you just get dumped into this world where you don't understand all the words that people are saying. It's like this maze that's dark, and you're just trying to feel your way around to hold on to something. And there's a lot of waiting and waiting and waiting and manual things. Call this person, fax this, fill this out. It could get really frustrating at your darkest time. So I think it's anything that we can do in that area to help things, make things better, to diagnose faster, to treat faster, to make people more comfortable. That's the area that I think I would say I would like to see more advancements in.
Yeah, it's huge. I was pre-med. I finished my pre-med studies and decided not to go to medical school and become a doctor. But I'm very, very familiar with a lot of the advancements in that space. And actually, healthcare IT is our biggest area of organizations that we help. And I think it aligns really well with Tech Human, right? And what we're doing is we're all about the human, and it's just it's nothing but human science. But it's everybody needs some sort of care at some point in their life. And what I like to say is the human technology is the most powerful technology on the planet, right? So it's exciting the times that we're living in, and it's mind-boggling. I have a 19-year-old in college, and I have a 2-year-old little girl, but it's like just what they're going to see in their lifetime with all these advancements in technology and just the changes in the world that are coming. It's like I can't even, grip it of what it's going to
Yeah,
be
you
like.
can't even imagine what's next because,
Yeah,
things are moving so fast.
it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, the 19-year-old, I think I have a little bit better idea, but the 2-year-old, it's like, what? It's going to be a completely different world. Yeah. So, as far as technology innovation for the past 2 decades, what do you believe has had the most significant impact on society?
Yeah, mobile phones for sure. I would say mobile phones. I always look at the digital transformation and I look at it like, when you look at what's really driving digital transformation, it's our expectations. It's my expectation, yours, your kids' expectation. I expect to be able to do everything on my phone now. I didn't expect that, before, obviously, it didn't have that capability. And it's so funny because I remember when I first deposited a check with my phone. And I was amazed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I called my husband over. I'm like, look at this. Look how easy this was. Look how much time this saved. This is awesome. And then it was several months later. Now, this was early days of being able to do the deposits, and the minimums were fairly low. And I was trying to move money from one account to the other, and I ran into a limit. I couldn't deposit with my phone. I had to go to the bank. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bank. And I was like, wait a minute, I was so impressed with this like just 6 months ago. And it's like all of our expectations are what's driving it. It's like the bar just keeps going up and up and up. And we're all here for it, right? We want it to keep going. And so that's what I would say is mobile computing and our expectations are just, advancing. Every time something gets better, we expect the next thing. And I'm like a tech, I'm into tech so much. I've got an app for everything. I've got an app for the coffee mug next to me. My mattress has an app. My toothbrush
Yeah.
has an app. So I'm like
Toothbrush.
here
Oh,
for it.
wow.
And I control all that with my mobile phone.
Nice. Yeah, and, I just thought of something. That toothbrush totally got me off track. But like, wow, I've never heard of a toothbrush app. Oh, it was. I think I need an app to organize my apps. Right, like that. That's what I was
That's
gonna
right.
say.
That's right.
I
Well,
have
this
way too many apps.
it actually tells you whether you're brushing your teeth effectively or not.
Really
So I'm kind of into keeping
interesting.
all the teeth I can as long as I can. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'll buy into that.
yeah. I guess I'm still in the Stone Ages. Mine just has a light that tells you if you're pushing too hard, right? So
Oh, okay, okay.
I guess Christmas is coming up, so maybe I can
Yeah,
get
I'll send you a link.
an
I'll send you
OS
a link.
upgrade on my toothbrush.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so let's dive into today's topic: digital transformation and evolving leadership, a new path forward. Join us as we delve into the interconnected nature of technology and human elements in driving successful change, fostering a culture of continuous learning and adapting to the complex landscape of AI, sustainability, and security. So it's, Krista, it's interesting world and it's interesting times that we're living in right now with the rate of change. And, I keep thinking of this whenever I'm talking about this is that, just the fact that I'm so surprised at how powerful these large language models are and the access to the technology that we have at our fingertips because of applications like ChatGPT or LMLs like ChatGPT, that, I'm a person that's constantly looking for this. It's hard for me to wrap my head around how this is going to affect people that aren't constantly looking for these types of tools and advanced technologies to leverage in their business and their day-to-day life, that how floored they're going to be that by this rate of change. But it's just, goes hand in hand with digital transformation, right? But can you describe your first encounter with the concept of digital transformation in your professional career? How is your understanding and like approach, I guess, evolved over time?
Yeah, so it's so funny when it comes to digital transformation and how long that's been around. I can't think of the exact first encounter because, and I thought about this, AI has happened so fast. Digital transformation was like bit by bit by bit. All of a sudden, we had customers asking they need to stand up, being able to take mobile orders. They need to be able to stand up online bill payment. They need to be able to stand up, access from anywhere for their employees. And so it was like these little requests that just kind of were bit by bit by bit by bit over the years. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly the first time. And I don't think I ever really realized it was digital transformation until later. You kind of categorize all these requests, and what they're doing is transforming digitally. But what I will say is that I've seen digital fails, and those are interesting. And I'll share one of those with you. The digital fail that I'll share, and it was in my personal life. I was renting a car in Orlando, and I got a fantastic rate. I mean, just like I'm walking to the rental, and I'm just smiling at how great my rate was. And I get to the brand that I rented from. All the other counters are totally empty. I get to my counter, and I was like, oh, I'm not the only person who got a good rate. There was a line that was snaked all the way around. I was like, oh my gosh, there must have been 50 people in that line. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my gosh. And then they have these kiosks kind of on the side. And they have this person that has a fake background that's there to help you and interface so you can see them. And they're helping one person, and the other kiosks are empty. And everybody's just watching to see what's going to happen with that person that's at the kiosk, because they're going to jump over there if it works. But nobody wants to get out of line because they don't want to lose their place. So I'm watching, and the person on the kiosk, they're asking for this document, asking for that, and they're typing in this, and they have to. And at the end, they sent them to the counter, and it was like nobody got out of that line. That was a digital fail. So I've seen obviously great things, and I've also seen the digital fails. But I give people points for trying, But you've probably seen them too.
Early adopters.
And yeah, exactly. And but in this day and age, if you're not transforming digitally, it's not like extra credit anymore. It's expected, and if you're not, you're behind. And it's incredible responsibility for IT, because IT is more important than ever, and that's great, but it's also a challenge because IT is more important than ever.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Krista. It makes me think about, and I forgot who said it, but it was that everybody now, every company now is a technology company. And if you don't believe that you are a technology company, like, you are going to get disrupted by a smaller, more nimble, innovative startup that's going to come in and take out your market share, because, like, to your point earlier, they're going to be able to serve their end client better than you are. And you're you're not only behind, you're in danger of existence, right? Of being wiped out. And we're seeing that happen with Amazon and with, taking out industries potentially. So it's as far as like the, books, right? Like online books, right? Like when it's I don't know, is it Barnes and Noble or whatever, but like some of these bookstores, they're still there, but like, or Blockbuster, right, is another example, right? Netflix and Blockbuster, I think it was, but it is like of paramount importance that, the old school thought processes of it's not broken, don't fix it, right? Like, we have to become proactive. We have to leverage what's happening, whether we like the technology or not. Because if we don't, it's not going to be pretty, because things are changing so quickly. You will get left behind, like you said, and
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
no longer it's a must now. So
It is a must.
yeah,
Yeah. And if you run into a company that isn't transformed, you could tell. It's like, what? I can't pay online? What do you mean I can't
yeah,
play? I mean, how's that possible?
yeah,
It just stands out like a sore thumb now.
yeah. It's human nature, right? It's like our demands are up leveled by some sort of an experience, and then it just keeps going up. And when we know what the possibilities are, so you've highlighted the difference between what you refer to as turn crank leadership, right? And in other conversations, right? Turn the crank leadership, so to speak, and transformational leadership, right? We haven't really got into that on this episode, but could you share more about these two styles of leadership and really how you believe transformational leadership is critical in today's rapidly evolving tech landscape.
Yes. So I would say turn the crank leadership is, hey, we're kind of always, it's like a maintenance mode. We're doing what we always normally do. And, in that case, people a lot of times actually get bored. They want to do something interesting and exciting. And then transformational leadership is, hey, I'm taking you somewhere that we've never been before. It's a great destination. There's going to be a lot of turns and bends, but we're going to a great, awesome place. Last year, I had one of the most difficult years I've ever had professionally speaking, and it was because of the chip shortage. We had to make so many changes to make sure we're navigating the chip shortage, and it was a lot of extra work on the team, and we never had to move like that before. And one thing I learned last year is that, and it was a ton of work. But one thing I learned last year was that people carry hard work as either a burden or a mission. And the way people behave in those two scenarios are totally different. If it's a mission, people are doing whatever it takes. They're working as a team. They don't stop. They look at the destination. If it's a burden, they do as little as they possibly can. There's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of complaining. And so what I see from a leadership perspective is if you can make it a mission, you can unlock people's hearts and minds. And I think those transformational types of projects are what unlock people to look at it as a mission. And I think if it's a mission, it really has three ingredients. The first one is that it's important. The second one is they think they really have a role in this. What they do actually matters. And the third is that it's doable. Like they really believe they can get there. It's frustrating if people are like, well, you want me to do something? I don't think there's any way we're going to get there. So I think when it comes to transformational leadership, you have to have a mission and you have to make sure that people feel that mission and they feel like they're a part of that mission.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. There's a lot of frameworks that we use to make sure that that's how, my company operates. But it's, kind of the way that I put it is humans are independent animals, so to speak, right? Like they're gonna do what they want to do, and if this dictator leadership of the past doesn't really work anymore. Can it work in some scenarios? Maybe, but that's not the way that you get the best out of your team members, right? It really needs to be tied to about them and about what they care about. And, we use a philosophy internally called the mission alignment philosophy that LinkedIn coined in one of the founders of LinkedIn coined in their book. And it's really, the way we look at it is anybody that works with us, they're leveraging the Tech Human company platform as a way to get what they want in their life. And we're here to help them leverage the company to get to where they want to go. And if we can give them what they want, then they're, and then we can make them happy or give them the opportunity of where they want to go. Then theoretically that solves the problem of Gallup studies saying that 70% of the U.S. workforce is not engaged at work, right? And so it's just kind of flipping the model on its head. So I couldn't agree with you more. It's extremely important.
And it's all of us have volunteer organizations and people volunteer every day to stay at your company and they could easily do something else. So if you don't win the hearts and minds of your team, then you're not going to keep them. That's just, and I always say also that when it comes to leadership, there's a bunch of keys on the ground and you have to find the right key to unlock the potential in every person. And those keys are different depending on the individual. And your job is to find that key. That's the job.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I like that analogy. That's awesome. So, as AI changes in the business landscape, how do you think companies need to adapt their strategies and operations to really stay competitive and relevant as the future unfolds, so to speak?
Yes, well, and when you're in an IT company, it's interesting because obviously you're looking at AI and building things into the products that you sell and enabling AI, and then you're looking at AI internally to be able so your employees can use it as well. And I would say being open is, to doing things differently and being creative, because this is a tool. If you don't know how to use the tool and you don't have ideas on how to use the tool isn't worth anything. I was talking to a CIO last week about AI, and it was really interesting because he said, you know what I did? I invited in all the executives to talk about, AI and the things that we could do around AI. And I asked him, I was like, what do you want to do? And they really struggled. They really just could not, think of what they should leverage AI to do. And he said, and then he goes, I had him in another time, and this time we did it much more guided. And he said, what we did was we asked him, what kind of data do you have that we can exploit? And what kind of challenges are you facing? And what kind of things do you want to do for customers? And he said it was a whole different thing. He also brought examples of how other industries are doing things, but you almost have to unlock that creativity so people can figure out how to use this tool, because it's really powerful if it's used correctly, and it can really change the game in every industry.
Yeah, I love that point. I'm trained as a master level coach, right? Because, I'm a nerd when it comes to neuroscience and human behavior and all of that stuff, right? A lot of, because of the way I was brought up, or the challenges I had to overcome in my young, childhood years and early adult years. And so, but what's interesting is that, I think that creative mind and the ability to kind of, leverage things to create and innovate, right? I naturally am just drawn to leveraging this new technology at our fingertips. Well, not new technology, but better working technology at our fingertips and more accessible. And I'm finding that it's so powerful to use in any area of the business, right? But it's, at the same time, it can be limiting in certain ways. And the way I like to equate it is that, as humans, we're very powerful, right? And we're much more powerful than we realize, but we're also inherently flawed. And so we need to be aware of that, is that we all have our own baked in cognitive bias. We all have our limited experience and perceptions, and we need to still tap into other people and community and partners and you name it, right? But just to be aware of that when we're using these tools, right? So that we're not narrowing the limit of their quality of their output, so to speak. But they are, it's crazy how powerful it is. And, I jumped on the bandwagon probably back in February and just started learning about it. And recently we've been working with a Fortune 100 of ours, a client of ours that's taken us under their wing. And for the past 3 months have done pro bono work for us. Like literally they gave me a couple of AI engineers and a project manager and a process engineer to help me build a tool that I wanted, which is absolutely amazing. And so I have a renewed hope of, corporate America and, just amazing things that big corporations are doing, right? At least some of them are. And so, but it's just been a whirlwind over this year, really, of the possibilities, right, of leveraging this type of technology.
Yes, and it's really exciting, and I think we're just limited by our imagination, really,
Yeah,
when it comes
yeah,
to how to use it.
yeah. It's exciting. So, AI not only brings in technological challenges, but also necessitates like a culture shift, right, in the organization. Can you discuss the importance of marrying technology advancements with the right organizational culture, and really to be able to have a seamless AI-driven transformation experience, so to speak?
Yes. Well, it's funny because the CIO I spoke to, he said, yeah, when I had the business leaders in, I had to tell them, this isn't to, get rid of people, because that's sometimes the fear that we're getting rid of lots of people. It's to and make sure that everyone can be more productive and take some of the menial things that they have to do off of their plate so they can do higher order work. But one of the things I'll say in terms of being motivated when it comes to AI and the technical advancements is I'm seeing people that are more motivated than ever. This, I feel like, has has, it's like it's inspired a lot of people. I have people on my team that have been, I had an all team meeting, and I was celebrating people that had 40 years at the company, 35 years at the company, 30 years at the company, a long periods of time. And this is just like jet fuel. I mean, it's like they're jazzed up about it because they're on the, and we're on the forefront of this. So I think making sure that people understand that this is an exciting time, it's an opportunity for them. We're all on the ground floor, of this. It's not like somebody is that much ahead of you, so we're all kind of, it's unveiling itself together to the world, to all of us. We all know it's going to be big, and we all know we're at the beginning. So looking at it from that standpoint, and how I think privileged we are to be where we are in tech and be a part of it, I think that's motivating.
Yeah, it's huge, and I'm holding back from kicking myself of not getting more well versed on this technology before, but like you said, it's still so new.
It is so
I'm
new.
like diving in all the way now, and it's just like it's mind-boggling, and that's one of the things that is really getting me to think like, wow, what is the world going to be like? When my 19-year-old gets out of college, or my 2-year-old is like in school, because it's moving so fast. It's
It
just,
is very
it's
fast.
crazy.
Yeah.
So we both know that leadership is critical in steering digital transformation. How would you describe your leadership style, and how it's really evolved in response to changes that you've experienced in the tech landscape?
Well, my style, I'm positive, I'm authentic, and I'm inspirational. And the reason I say inspirational is because I try to pump people up. I have a gift for being able to see people's superpowers really easily, and I like telling them what they are. So I like telling, if somebody comes on my team, and and they're down about something, I like them to feel better when they leave. And for me, in terms of what I need to do in this fast-paced world of tech, I need to pull out some of those things. For example, when it comes to the positive, what I mentioned before, making sure people realize that their spot in tech right now is a privilege. They should be really happy to be where they are, because there's never been a more exciting time. My first job out of school, I sold plastics. So, I talked every day, all day about plastic. This is so much better than that. And we're all privileged to be in the position that we're in. So I pull out things, and even with the inspirational, if somebody, says, oh, I don't know this, I'm not sure about that. I like to talk to them about having a growth mindset. We're not born knowing anything. People can learn as long as they have the interest. They can learn about those things, and growing is the job. We're all kind of work in progress. So those are the things I talk about, because everything's moving so fast. I heard someone in a meeting that I was in, and we were talking about AI, and they were talking about some study that had just come out, and the gentleman was a really smart guy, and he said, in all my decades in tech, I've never felt like so behind if I missed reading for like 2 weeks. Like I'm behind on what's happening with the AI. So I think a lot of people are like, I got to keep up with this, but it's all a journey. It's all a growth journey, and as and we all have opportunities to learn more. There's not many experts right now, because it's all kind of moving so fast.
Yeah, and to that point, it's so crazy of, just my experience in the last few months of, having the opportunity that this company brought us under their wing, right, and brought us into the program, and but just going out and tapping into my own research, my own, like doing my own research, or my own like network, just very quickly bringing people to the table that are so far ahead of the game. It was just mind blowing. But those contacts were always there. I just wasn't looking for them, right? And so I was even bringing people to the table that was teaching the entire group. And these are people that were like, they've been doing this for years. This is their career. But it's moving so fast, and there's so many innovative things coming out that you just don't know if they're there, but you have to be looking for them, right? They're not going to necessarily fall in your lap. And it's extremely exciting. I'm like a kid in a candy store right now, just trying to like not spend my entire time just, getting more well versed into those cool tools, right? But because I have other responsibilities, but it's mind boggling. The pace of change is just nuts.
Yeah, and
Um,
I love looking at all the use cases. It's like, oh, they're using it, this customer's using it for this
yeah.
customer, and all the customers are trying to learn from each other,
hmm
especially in the industry that they're in.
Yeah. Like one of the guys that I met, just an amazing guy. His name is Dustin, and he's got like tons of use cases that they're using it for, right? And it's just mind-boggling of how useful it is, and then it's right here under our noses. But a lot of people are still, they're just not even looking at it, or they're skeptical. They're literally skeptical about it, right? Probably because they've seen so much marketing content out there that is misleading, but it really is extremely powerful, and it's here to stay. So it may scare some people, but there's not really much we can do about it. We either
Yeah.
leverage it or we don't leverage it, right?
Yeah, well, and it's like anything else. It could be used for good, it could be used for
Mm-hmm.
bad. That's
Yeah.
how I mean, the internet could be used for good and could be used for bad. I mean, it's kind of built in, and it really and there needs to be consciousness of the risks, and people need to make sure that they're educated about that as well. Obviously, for me, in our company, we don't put our private data out into the large language models that are public, those kinds of things. So there's those things that you have to be aware of, but I think that goes with most technologies, that you have to know the risks and make sure that you mitigate those risks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting times that we're living in, and speaking of that pace of change, as a leader, how are you really keeping your people uh, motivated and really helping them to adapt in this dynamic changing world that we're in right now?
Yeah, so a couple things that I do. I'm a big reader, like huge reader. I read probably a book every couple weeks. And so I have my list of books that I like to share with the team. I'll bring things up that, a book recommendation will fly out of my mouth on a regular basis. And I've hired people externally that have written books to come speak to the team. In my all team meetings with the entire organization that I have, I always have a customer. So we do, a customer interview as part of that. And I have a career section where we talk about a career topic. And I have a lot of people in product management on my team, and we have a whole educational track for product management where we have a lot of learning opportunities. And the other thing is, I don't. This happens with even a broader organization, but we have something called Development Day, and it's one day a quarter, no meetings, no work. All you do is you focus on what you want to learn, and that's great because leaving space for that to take those online courses or in-person courses or read about something is really great because people are really busy.
Yeah, that would be huge for me. I'm learner is in my top five strengths, right? Gallup strengths. So my wife calls me just like a sponge. I'm just like consuming information and just books and audio. It's audio books, right? But
Yeah,
I have
me too.
Alexa,
I'm on the
or I
Audible
have,
train too.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I have like
yeah.
access to Audible in the car, in the shower, and so instead of music, I'm listening to audiobooks, right? And just,
Same here. And
yeah,
I'll have to
yeah.
send you some of the ones that my favorites.
Yeah, let's trade off favorites for sure.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know what those are. So, on down that path of continuous learning, right? How do you really foster a culture of learning outside of maybe the development day? But really, how do you foster that environment of learning and innovation within maybe your specific teams or your, sub teams, so to speak?
Yeah. So some of the things so luckily in tech, I think it's great because I think you have kind of people that navigate the tech because they are learners. They were attracted to the field that changes rapidly, and they like learning. I remember one time there was a employee that I had, and she considered it part of her compensation that we sent her to different learning opportunities. I just sent some people to a conference to learn. I've got a thank you in my inbox for that. So we encourage people to go and learn at external conferences and classes. And then I would say one of the things that we're doing is we have a lot of hands-on training. So people can dial in, and sometimes it's in person, to actually hands-on learn new tools. We have an online academy, and we share tips on what courses are good, and recommendations for what to take. I feel like we have a pretty the people like to learn a lot that are attracted to the technology field, and we try to feed that as much as we possibly can by giving them the opportunity to go to trainings, and then also sharing things that are helpful.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. It's so important, especially now. What I like to say is that we have to be good at mastering change, right? Because that's coming at us so fast. And, now it's like anybody that's in college is, predicted to change their career 5 times, right? Because things are changing so fast. Automation is coming at us. Robotics is coming at us. It's the largest, technological revolution or industrial revolution ever, which is, AI, automation, all of this digital transformation. It's mind-boggling to what the world is going to be like here in just a few years, right? I mean, you already have talks of flying cars. There's already flying cars that have been released, right? And there's already a robotic AI citizen in Dubai. I think that's a citizen of whatever Dubai is, right? It's not a country, but it's just like, really, like it's mind-boggling.
It is. And I think when it comes to people adapting well to change, I think it's a muscle. Because the more things, the more change you experience, the better you are to adapting to changes over time. So, it's just like, starting with weightlifting. It's hard at first, and then that little initial part that you struggled with is such an easy thing once you move up. The ranks in weightlifting. So I think it's a muscle, and as people practice it, it gets easier and easier and easier.
I couldn't agree with you more, and and you can kind of, it's almost like it's kind of like riding a bike, but actually I feel like, full disclosure, over the last couple of years, because since I have a new addition to the family, I've kind of been out of my normal routine, and then I moved, right? And so all of those things have kind of gotten me out of whack, because I'm big on meditation and routines in the morning, and using a lot of neuroscience techniques and just self-development techniques to really reprogram myself on a daily basis. My mind in the morning, my mind at night before I'm going to bed. And I've actually designed systems around this. But for the past couple of years, I've kind of been out of whack because of sleep patterns and because of moving and all this stuff and just changes. And so I've actually kind of digressed and when dealing with the change, and I'm on the track to kind of getting back to my normal routines. But your daily practices and behaviors and what you're doing really it plays a big role in being able to adapt and all this, and getting the clarity that you need to kind of understand
Yeah,
where you
totally
focus your
agree.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have you read The Miracle Morning?
I have,
Have
yeah,
you?
yeah,
5 a.m. Club?
powerful. Both,
Yeah,
correct, yeah,
just
powerful.
very similar kind of
Yeah.
concepts, but I'm the same way. I have my morning routine,
Hmm.
and I actually, this is maybe a little too nerdy. I grade myself every day in three
Really?
different areas.
Wow,
Yes, and I plot the
that's
results
awesome.
week to week on how I'm doing, because what I found is if I don't keep track of it, and especially when you have to force yourself to plot it on a chart, it's kind of like, it really becomes, real to you. So I actually have a something on my fridge that I have three different areas, and I every day I get either a one, two, or three in those areas, or zero, and then I keep track of that, and I plot it, add up all the points at the end of the week, and I plot it on a chart. So
Yeah, we need to talk more. I used to track my stuff with an app actually, but it's, I've actually designed an entire system, and Miracle Morning, system was inspiration for it, but I actually have other components of, like, a Japanese philosophy of ikigai and some other things, right? And so because of all my training through, like, these coaching institutes, I have a lot of information or knowledge around these different areas of kind of how to move the needle and kind of live purposefully and all that stuff. And I've actually coached my son through that since a very young age to help him overcome his fear. And now he's, very advanced. He's just started as a marine biologist at A&M. And so, but he used to be terrified of the water. And then
what?
he
Really?
was terrified of the water, even in swimming pools. And then I got him diving when he was 12 years old, and now he's gone night diving with me, and it's actually his love now. And so,
Isn't that great?
he pushed through his fear, and a lot of these coaching philosophies that I've learned, they actually work. And so,
We definitely have to compare
yeah,
notes there.
yeah,
That's
that would
awesome.
be amazing. So,
Wow, that from being afraid of water
mm,
to marine biologist, that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, Krista, we're coming up on time here, but in your opinion, what technology do you think the world needs that doesn't exist yet?
Okay, I thought about this, and the technology I would say is a technology that can help people. Well, let me start with the problem I want to solve. The problem I want to solve is when it comes to diseases that are the most likely to cause death, which are heart disease, respiratory disease, diabetes, and cancer. Um, this stat will probably blow your mind, but 80% of that is preventable. 80%. The challenge is that the behaviors that cause those disease and the consequence are separated by decades, right? And so, if let's just say I want to cross a really busy street and I'm in a hurry, I'm not going to just jump out in front of the cars because the consequence is obvious and it's immediate, right? But we do things all the time when it comes to diet, exercise, smoking, those kinds of things, because we're rolling dice. Oh, well, probably won't happen to me, those kinds of things. What I'd like, though, this is pretty futuristic. I would like to have a technology that takes our DNA, because it shows kind of how likely we are for some of these things, and can detect our habits and give us a sense of how far we are on that road to getting heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, when we eat what we eat and we move the way that we move, the way that we smoke, because and be able to kind of, send you that alert with a video of your face on the consequence. So, those smoking commercials with the artificial voice boxes and those kind of things? What if that was your face? And that was you, and you're seeing a glimpse of yourself in the future if you don't. So you're kind of like you are here, and if you keep going this way, this is where you're going to be at this age, that kind of thing. So it's a little futuristic,
Interesting.
but that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, and I believe it will happen, right? And I've had similar, I mean, I wouldn't say not leveraging DNA, but I've had similar thoughts about, maybe developing certain apps that are tied into AI or LMLs or whatever, right? To help, basically kind of like an automated coach, right? To kind of help you see or monitor what your behaviors are, because really our behaviors lead into what we're creating, right? And what we're thinking about. And, it's all tied together. So it's very interesting, and it makes me think about Ray Dalio's book Principles. He talks about first and second order consequences. And it's human nature. Like, we don't want to always feel like doing the hard work up front, but we want that end goal of that good second order consequence. But we might want to pick up that ice cream cone, or not get off the couch and go run around the block at least. So it's, yeah, humans are interesting animals in that way, for sure.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, yeah, we like immediate gratification. So,
Yes, we do.
Krista, yeah, it's really, I thank you again for joining us today and sharing your insights. if the audience is interested in digital transformation, right? Again, remember, if you don't think that you're a technology company, you know, I believe that you need to have a wake-up call because, and a lot of very smart people believe the same thing, that there will be a smaller, more nimble, technology-savvy startup that can come in and take your market share. So really now in this age of digital transformation and disruption, everybody is a technology company. So if you're interested in learning more about how you can transform digitally, HPE can help. Krista, would be happy to talk to you more about it and give you some insights on maybe how you can move that needle in that direction, or maybe HPE can help you. Listeners, be sure to check out her work and follow her on social media. Website links and social handles will be in the show description. And, to leave you guys with more insights from Krista. Krista, what is one piece of actionable advice that you can give to emerging leaders who are just starting to really navigate their path through digital transformation landscape?
Well, first of all, emerging leaders, I would say you have a bit of an advantage. You're early in your career, and I think this is going to come super naturally to you. I think the pace of change, you're going to probably be able to keep up with it really well. What I would say is be a continual learner, and then also learn the rules of how to get ahead in your workplace. I would say that I mentor a lot of people, and people are working really, really hard, but sometimes don't understand the rules for how to get ahead at the workplace.
Oh, that's a great point, right? Every culture is different. Everybody is different. Leaders are different. And that's definitely.
And I do have a book recommendation for that. Really? Yes. It is called Rise, Rise, by Patty Azzarello. Rise, and it is available on Audible, and it's the best getting ahead career book I've ever read, and I've read a ton of them.
Awesome. Again, Krista, really appreciate your time. Thank you for all the great insights. Definitely looking forward to keeping the conversations going with you and, sharing, exchanging book ideas. And, who knows, maybe we'll do a joint venture and develop an app, right?
Yeah, that would be fun.
Develop an app to organize all of our apps.
That's right.
But, so audience, don't forget to help your fellow tech humans. Share this podcast and follow me on LinkedIn at Javier Guerra 360. See you next time on the Tech Human Experience. Thanks again, Krista. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
The Tech Human Experience